Hello, this is Tatiana with Truthball in Search of Goof, and this is a video that's going into getting off the codependent carousel, and I believe I'm going to call it something like How to Fight Fair, something like that. Anywho, so I apologize, but you guys, like, I mean, sometimes you're just so demanding. So you caught me in the middle of, trying to, in my fancy, movie studio where I get to watch movies. I wanted to sit down and watch a movie, and you guys, like, seriously, I need a break. But okay, I'm going to make another video for you before I get to watch my movie. Anyway, so this is the deal. You're stuck with me in my pajamas and all that kind of stuff. Okay, how to fight fair. I'm putting this in the getting off the codependent carousel because of how we do learn to fight unfairly within the abusive relationships. Oh, of course, I forgot to say, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but these videos are part of my own coping strategy, and certainly my hope is that I am validating someone. Sorry, I'm trying to move the lighting. My goal is that I am validating someone who has been in an abusive relationship or is currently in an abusive relationship to start developing some better habits and make a plan to get out if they're still in the relationship, or start doing these things. Now, certainly, I think within an abusive relationship, you learning to fight fair is probably not going to have an effect on the relationship, but it can help you think clearly and stop participating in unfair fighting. So, of course, I'm looking at my notes over here too. This is the dealio. The dealio is that I look really, really grubby, and I'm thinking there's just nothing I can do about it because this is important to me, and I do want to get this video out. Okay, so several things that have been going on in my mind lately that kind of, it's kind of how it works. It's kind of how a video comes together. Different conversations that happen, and I start to think of examples, and I just kind of write notes on a piece of paper until finally I feel like, you know what, I think that concept is complete. Let's toss it up here. So I was having a conversation a while ago about the blue-red game. I'm not going to remember what the conversation was about. Something to do with arguing or conflict resolution, etc. Anywho, okay, so I was explaining to this person the blue-red game. If you have not played the blue-red game, I think you can Google it, and at least you can get some kind of concept of what it is. But I will try my best to explain it here. So anyway, even though I got a teaching degree, you're required to take several communications classes. Well, by the time I was working on my master's, I'd already finished group discussion and speech and all of these other communication classes that you would expect. And so I wanted something different at the master's level, and I found out I was able to squeeze in a course called conflict resolution, and it was actually a business course. So it was even more fun because everybody in the class that I was with was not in the education field, so it was like a new perspective. Anywho, so I feel like the prof, oh, look at that happy dog. Look at that, somebody's happy. Somebody's getting ready for movie time. So I feel the prof did a really good job because before we knew each other on our first day of class, he played the blue-red game. And in fact, I had another friend who was in business and had taken the same course. And when we got to talk about it, it was like, well, what happened on your first day? Because it is basically a psychological experiment. And it was awesome because if you can't tell, I love psychology. So it was awesome, awesome, awesome. Anywho, blue-red game. The blue-red game, for the most part, the rules are, that you're basically having a fictional. Why am I drawing a blank on this? You're negotiating. One business is negotiating with another business. Imaginary sale of the company, something like that. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you are in separate rooms, and you only have one representative from each team, from the blue team and the red team. And only that representative goes and shares information, and that person is responsible to tell your imaginary, board of trustees what the next offer and counter offer has been. Okay, back and forth. And all you really know is that that's how it's set up, and that you can, when you vote, and you can you vote as a board, and that there is, at the end of the game, either everyone wins, everyone loses. Is there an option that one wins and the other loses? Somebody remind me. And then the last one is that you can end the game anytime you want. And any individual can end the game anytime they want to. So you play this game, and you're like negotiating back and forth. You're trusting this other person, who's your, communicator. Anywho, so I'm going to cut that long story short and say, at the end of it all, and we all came back into the same room, and we all lost. When we get back into the same room, the professor asks, and we're all sitting in this big circle. He says, okay, well, does anybody have any thoughts? And I didn't even give anybody a chance to say anything. I raised my hand and I said, I just want all y'all to know, I don't trust none of y'all. None. Nobody. I don't trust any of you all, ever. And this is why. There was lying. I could see on my team, people were willing to lie. And I'm thinking, you're willing to lie for a game? It's a game. I mean, at the very least, can we complete this with integrity? Just your personal integrity. Who knows how it's going to turn out, but you'll lie? Anywho, so that was where I had first gotten upset. And then, during the course of the game, I'm like, I'm not voting that way, right? I'm completely disagreeing with my group and having to sit there really being berated by people I don't even know that I was the one person holding out. Now, we didn't need a unanimous decision in order for our, for the group's choice to be made. But I did have to deal with the persecution from people that I don't know. And anywho, but this was the key, the biggest key where I made my mistake. Because I'm like, I'm sticking true. You know what I mean? You've listened to my stories. I've been through fucking hell and not giving in. And I'm thinking, that's all I got out of this game, and that I don't trust you. And then he reminds us, every individual had the right to end the game. And I felt stupid. I instantly was like, how did I forget that? I remember, in fact, it's on the top of my paper that I was looking at, that I had the right to end the game. If I was already dealing with persecution, what more did I have to lose by ending the game? Well, nobody would have known if they would have all been winners, and they don't know if they would have all been losers, I guess. But I could have ended the game, and our guy who was telling us what the other team had said was basing everything that he said saying that the other leader was a liar. So when the whole game was over, we found out that the same thing had been happening on the other team, that leader had been trying to convince the team and had voted against his team over and over and over again and was not lying. He would not lie and didn't want everybody else lying. And when it all came together and we realized that each team had one person that didn't want to lie, and didn't want to vote the same way that everybody else had. And we had all lost because our guy had said that he was lying. It was terrible. It was emotionally terrible, and a great, great game for a business professor to start this class with, because you are fully aware and shocked at how bad fighting can go. Okay? Especially if somebody's lying. All right. Okay, so that's the one I'll toss you over there for regarding narcissism. When someone's lying, you just ain't gonna win. If they're lying to themselves, you ain't gonna win. Okay? So I just want to reiterate that one right there. Somebody is so happy. What is the deal? You guys are watching my dog do acrobats over there. Okay, and so like I was saying, I want to reiterate before I actually move on to breaking down some strategies for fighting, how to fight fair, is to remember, like I discussed in my video for the games that narcissists play, or the abuse board game. In the abuse board game, I point out that the moment that you are confused, it's game on. And a lot of times when someone is lying, almost all the time, when someone is lying to me, it's when I'm confused. And so if I have a moment of confusion, someone is lying, and I just have to wait and find out if I find out. But the key is that if someone is lying, you have the right to end the game. Someone can be lying to you, and all you have is a gut feeling, and you can just not argue, because you're not going to get anywhere. You cannot do anything about a lie. Someone can be lying to themselves, right? We as codependents are often in that denial stage. And in the denial stage, we are lying to ourselves. Or we're talking to someone else who's in recovery and they are codependent and still kind of in that denial stage. And you're trying to explain something to them and you can see on their face that they're just not getting it or lying to themselves. Again, you have the right to end the game. I might have to pause this video because dude's so excited. I hope that's not like blasting your speakers. Let's see if he snuggles with us, if he'll quiet down. Okay, so then, whoops, watch out, Punky. Hey, big boy, come and say hi to everybody. Come here, big boy. And big buddy. Okay, let's refocus now. How to fight fair, Butterbean. Yeah, okay. He doesn't know how to fight fair, but we love him anyway. Okay, so regarding fighting fair, in all situations, I was just discussing with a narcissist, with a codependent, how to fight fair in all situations. Number one, stick to one issue. Whatever has made you upset or made the other person upset, you are only allowed to argue about that issue. That's it. Nope, I don't want to hear that excuse. No, I'm not listening to that excuse either. One issue at a time. And I'm not talking about this other couple I knew. I knew a couple who would talk to me about this and say, we really want a deep-hearted relationship, and so when something comes up, we will argue about it, and then if anything else gets triggered, then we'll, in order, we'll finish arguing about this, then we'll finish arguing about that, then we'll argue about this, and we'll argue about that. And I'm looking at the woman who was telling me this. I knew both of them, but the woman was sharing this with me, and I'm thinking, you are arguing for hours. Every single time that you have an argument, you argue for hours. And you're telling me that you're doing this in order to have a healthy relationship. And arguing for hours is not a healthy relationship. You might have told yourself that, but you're not in a healthy relationship. And they were not in a healthy relationship, okay? So, I'm not listening to it. One issue at a time. And you will often find when you are fighting fair with your partner, with your sibling, whatever the situation is, you will find that as you work out whatever that issue was, there is bonding and understanding and explaining and kindness and goodness, compassion, sharing. All of these positive things over time decrease arguing in a healthy relationship because, well, the next time somebody does something, oh, you know, when we were talking about that, I understand why they did that. So it bothers me enough that I think, you know, later on when we're not around these people, I'll ask. And you're no longer arguing about it because you're in a healthy relationship and you understand each other better. So when you argue one thing at a time, you develop that bonding relationship and understanding relationship so that you don't fucking annihilate each other while you're upset. Does that make sense? Because when you're upset, we do say mean things, you know, and that's not going to help. That's not going to help. Okay, and it increases the tension. Okay, so really, that's all I have to say about arguing. As far as the most positive thing to do, stick to one thing at a time. The lighting in here is so bizarre. You know, seriously, you guys, cut me some slack and like, stop staring. Okay, but this is the thing. When you're arguing, you need to, this was another good one, was, what's it called? Drive-through talking? Something like that, where when the other person says something, you repeat it back to them in your own language. And you can say, I hear you saying that when I did this, it made you feel this way? No, when you did this, it made me feel that word. Oh, okay, so not that, but I'm hearing you say it made you feel this. Okay, now I understand. Now the key is their reaction could be wrong. It isn't what you meant. It isn't what you intended for them to feel. But you let that person know that they have been heard. And then you can explain yourself. What is that saying? Nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. Repeating back to them until you understand what it is that they're upset about lets them know that you care, so that now you can disagree with caring. I'm so sorry. When I said that, that is not what I meant for you to feel. When I said that, this is what I meant. How do you feel about that? Does that make more sense? I want you to know that this is how I feel about you. And it is never this thing that you thought. I don't want you to feel that way. How can I make sure that you don't feel that way? Is that something that I did? Is that something that's happened? How can we make sure that you don't feel that way again? Because that was not my intention when I said such and such. Does that make sense? Okay, so let me see. I'm looking up at my notes again because these are the things I want you to remember when you are not fighting fair, or you are fighting with someone who's not fighting fair. Say you're sticking to the one issue You are sticking, and you can probably play this out in the abusive relationships that you've been in. You're like, I'm just saying pick up your socks. That's it. That's all I was upset about is, can't you just put the socks in the laundry basket? Socks, 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 socks. And instead, this is what's happening with someone not fighting fair. Saying anything has triggered defensiveness. They're just defensive. Why do you have a fucking problem with my socks? Every time I put the socks over there, you have a fucking problem. And I'm tired of fighting. We're always fighting. Blah, 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 blah. Deflecting. Deflecting from the socks. Yesterday when you put that thing over there, when I told you not to, that really pissed me off. Does that have anything to do with socks? That was yesterday. And if you had a problem with it, why didn't you mention it? Okay? It's deflecting. I don't want to talk about the socks, so I'm going to start talking about something else. Accusing. And I have experienced all these. I'll give you a couple stories at the end here. When you start accusing someone, again, sorry for the boring topic, but I want us to stick to one topic, which is socks. Socks next to the laundry basket that didn't make it in the bin. And instead, why are you such a fucking clean freak? I don't understand. You know what? I mean, it's near the laundry basket. It's close enough. It only takes you a moment to pick up the socks and put them in the laundry basket yourself if you need to be such a perfectionist. That's accusing. Accusing. Or worse, and I have experienced this with narcs and codependents, is accusing of shit that is totally like out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. I think I've talked about in that overt narcissist video where I tried to give away a couple slices of pizza and a couple beers, and he was screaming and yelling at me that I was using him, stealing from him, taking him for granted, when it's like, it's a Costco pizza. There's like, you had a Costco pizza, there's like 18 frickin' slices there. We're not going to starve. And it was beer from Costco, so there's like 48 for two people who don't drink beer. These accusations are like totally made up. Totally made up in your head in order for you to just be yelling shit instead of what the issue was. You're a fucking narc, and you don't like me being happy and being nice to somebody else, so you have to ruin it. Which, of course, in, fighting fair, you just don't fucking talk about it. That is one that you just shut down. You're like, should I be arguing about giving away 2 pieces of pizza and 2 beers? Should I argue? No. You have the right to shut down that argument. And I did. He yelled at me for a while, and I was like, I don't agree. I'm going to repeat it. I don't agree. You're welcome to your opinion. I don't agree. Okay, and then another one that is really an unfair way to fight. And I think in general women do this. At least that's what I've heard in general, that women do this. And I do recall actually when I was younger, absolutely I did this. It was an unfair fighting tactic, and I didn't know. It felt natural. So anyway, bringing up old shit. Oh my gosh, okay, the guys, we can high five on that, right? Chicks do that all the time, bringing up old shit. Okay, guys do it too. Codependents do it. Narcissists do it. They bring up old shit, and it's an unfair fighting tactic. Bringing up old shit it's defensive, it's deflecting, and it's accusing. And it's all of those things that have nothing to do with one issue. Okay? I have experienced that one many times, many times. And like I said, I have been in the past guilty of it until I learned this to stick to one issue. But, and I do, you know what, honeys? I do remember when I was breaking the habit that it was difficult. I do remember wanting to say this, that, or the other thing and choosing not to. And it was hard. It was hard because it was with the narcissist, and like I said, I had anger issues already. So, controlling that, it's a habit, huns. It's just a habit. You can break it. Anyway, bringing up old shit is kind of what I was saying in the beginning there too, where it's like if you're arguing about so many things, when you're upset, the end result of your argument is bitterness, frustration, anger, and nothing is resolved. So the key to remember about fighting fair. This is not going to happen in a narcissistic relationship, but an argument that happens with a healthy person, or someone who still has some bad habits but is not a narcissist, when you're fighting fair, at the end of a fight, there is understanding. There is understanding. Even if you're still steamed, I've certainly, had an argument, came to a conclusion, and still was like, I just need time to cool off, though. That's just my personality. A lot of times if it really was something super duper emotional, I need to go for a drive, grab a cup of coffee, and give me an hour or two, and it'll all settle in. Okay. And there's also, there are other issues that if they're not, incredibly emotional, I can switch right out of it. And the key for either one is to acknowledge to that person that you had the argument with that it's over and that everything is okay. So there are times like, let's say you have an argument somewhere in a public space, where you, I'm trying to think of something bizarre. Let's say something happened, your family is having dinner at the table, somebody said something wrong, and it was actually so bad that you had to have a conversation by the telephones in the restaurant, and you say, look, da 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 da, okay, I understand, and you can, and you work it out, and then you say, okay, let's go and have a good time, and you switch it off. You say, okay, everybody else's peace and stuff at this time is what's important, not that we're fighting or had a fight. Let's do, keep everybody at peace and move on. Or, as I'm saying, if you do need time, some of us, especially the introverts, I think, if you need time after an argument to process what has happened, you need time alone. And I'm going to say for the other people who don't need that time alone, I want to explain to you that especially, like I said, with introverts, if they say that they need time, you have to let them have that time. It's the way our mind works. It needs to process new information, okay? It just takes a little while. It just does. Some of us, your mind works like a microwave pizza, and the rest of us are like, it's gotta go through that oven. And it just takes a while. And they're both gonna come out cheesy and good, okay? Cheesy and melty happiness, okay? And I can also say that I have had other friends of mine, other relationships, where the person, does state, that they need time for it to settle in. And it's hard. I get it. It's hard, especially after a fight, because you kind of feel like, oh, the relationship's a little bit on shaky ground, and so that person leaving makes me feel abandoned. So that person going away is kind of ripping open the vulnerability again. And I'm going to say, a coping strategy for that is to make sure that that person clearly communicates with you. You both communicate with each other that the argument is over. We came to an understanding. And you can say, I feel insecure because we had the argument. When will you be back? And this person, out of respect, should, if they truly are, like, I just need a little bit of time. I'll be back in a couple of hours. Whatever it is. Call me if you haven't heard from me, in 3 hours. I've been kidnapped. At the end of an argument, there needs to be some level of respect. Even if your emotions, introverts, even if your emotions are still high, you still need to respect the person that, has processed and is ready to move on and to be happy. You need to be respectful of that person and not make them feel abandoned. Okay? If you want to leave and make them feel abandoned, then you really haven't resolved the issue. Okay? You're being passive aggressive or bitter, whatever. Okay, so I know I'm rambling quite a bit here, but these are truly the things that over time I have learned and have helped me. I don't like arguing. I don't like drama. I do have a zero tolerance policy to drama, because I don't cope well with drama. I don't. Whatever calmness that you see come out of me is because I have had to eliminate drama. Now, I might not have as many friends as you do. I might not have as wild and wacky times as you do. But I am unhappier consistently if I have drama in my life. So I have found my peaceful place. And yes, I do suffer heartbreak when there's drama and I have to eliminate something from my life. But I have to eliminate that drama from my life because it eats up my heart and it eats up my soul in the long run. Okay, I had to edit there because I started to think about a couple of examples. So I'm going to come back and mention a couple of some examples that I can share. Okay, so I have had a couple of instances where I've had actually someone that I know who is codependent, and like I was saying, there are times, and I've said this many times before, you cannot tell the truth to somebody who is in love with a lie. So they either are believing the lie of the narcissist that they are codependent with, or they are lying because they're so comfortable with self-sabotage to themselves. They don't know how to be free and to be happy. But I have several times with codependents been triangulated with the narcissist. So usually the narcissist recognizes that I am becoming friends with the codependent, and that narcissist will create a situation. Several relationships and friendships that I've been in, that scenario has gone down, and the participating flying monkey is codependent, and I cannot explain to them the truth. When I try to explain to them the truth, because I don't want to lose this codependent person, I know damn well what the narcissist did. I'm not participating with what the narcissist is going to do. The game is shut down. The game's not going to happen with you, with them. The game's not happening in my life. But I still want to preserve the relationship with the other codependent person. And sometimes you can explain. I have had experiences where I said, yo, this is what's going on. And they're like, oh, really? And then I'll say, yes. Da 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 da. And you're like, oh, okay. And I have had that conversation in scenarios where I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. And I have triggered their defensiveness. I'm looking at my list. They start deflecting. They start accusing. And then they bring up old shit. And you're like, that hurts, honeys, when it's like, there's the evil person who's using you to hurt me. I'm not going to participate, but I don't want you hurting. And instead of me getting rewarded for trying to, yo, let's get rid of that. Let's be happy. Instead of that, I get accused. And old shit being brought up is it's like a double betrayal, because you're like, I didn't even know that you had a problem with me. We're not even the ones arguing, this is what's going on. This is what this person is doing. And now you're hurting me. And why are you even bitter towards me? Okay. And all of those are, in the codependent relationship, when those things happen, it is a self-protection. It's a self-protection because they are in love with a lie. And making them confront a lie is terrifying. It is terrifying, right? Let's all forgive the codependents that we know. Facing the fact that you are in an abusive or narcissistic relationship sucks. How many of you out there found out that you were in a narcissistic relationship and was like, fucking cool, I've always wanted that? Yeah. You need to forgive the codependent people that you know that are still in that relationship and who are hurting you because they're in that codependent relationship. You need to forgive them. It hurts. It does hurt to break out of that. Okay. So, and, hurting people hurt people. Okay, and then I know I'm not even giving you specific examples, but these are things that I have witnessed myself. And then as well as the example that I've talked about, when you're confronting a narcissist, when you are confronting a narcissist, and like I talked about in the abuse board game, BORED, confronting that narcissist is a penalty card. You are going to increase the abuse. And right off the bat, if you're verbally confronting a narcissist, you're going to get everything that I just listed. Triggering defensiveness, deflecting, accusing, and bringing up old shit. And there's no fucking way that they're going to even not only not stick to the one issue, they're not going to stick to your issue. Exactly what you said is like, bink, didn't even hear it. All of a sudden you've just, launched a lion at yourself. Okay, last part, what do I say? Okay, cool. So I'm going to wrap it all up and share a couple more things that I learned in my conflict resolution class. And continually remind you, you have the right to shut down an argument anytime you want to. You can just not participate. Now, I can tell you this. In an argument, according to conflict resolution, business conflict negotiation and conflict resolution, the worst thing that you can do is stonewall someone. Stonewalling means you are no longer communicating. No longer communicating. Okay? And my ex-husband did that to me in the end. In the end of the relationship, as I told you, as I pulled away from reacting to all of his narcissistic games that caused me to argue. Once I simply stopped arguing, he ran out of narcissistic supply. He could not get any narcissistic supply from me. And so what he had created was stonewalling me. Whatever I asked for, whatever I talked about, in the middle of conversation, at the dinner table, he just stonewalled me. There was no words. No words. We would sit down at dinner, and he would not speak a word to me. Okay? It was the only way he had left to reject me. Because I gray rocked everything else and just wasn't reacting. Okay, so What was my point there? That as far as in a healthy relationship, shutting down, you can shut down the argument with someone who's lying to themselves, lying to someone else. That is just a non-winnable game. Lying to you, lying to themselves. It's a non-winnable, okay? Shut it down, no longer participate. In a healthy relationship, no longer participating, stonewalling, is terrible. It's terrible. Nobody can go anywhere. You can't go anywhere without any communication, okay? So I want to remind you that because I emotionally shut down. It is difficult when my feelings are hurt to communicate, especially because I've come to the other extreme of being so angry that when someone does something that makes me angry, I shut down because I don't, I need time to figure out what I want to say, because now I really, 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 I don't like blurting. I don't like not having control. Now, of course, this is what I'm saying, in a healthy relationship, sometimes you're going to blurt, and I usually know when it's coming, and I'll say, I just have to blurt it out, and I'm sorry if it comes out wrong, okay? But in a healthy relationship, you have to communicate. You have to. Reminder, if they are lying to you or lying to themselves, shut down the game. You're not going to get anywhere. When you are in a healthy communicating relationship, stonewalling is not okay. Communicate badly if you have to, and apologize before. There are many times in my life when I have been talking with someone, or someone wants to share something and they keep saying, I can't find the words to say. I will say to them, and I'm giving you permission to say it wrong. It's okay to say it badly, to stumble over your words, to take a little while to get to the point. But give them permission. Give them permission. Give yourself permission. State that that's going to I don't know exactly what's upset with me. I'm just going to do it girly style, and I'm going to have to ramble until it comes out, so hang in there with me, okay? I've said that many, many times, and it seems to set the other person at ease and be able to be patient enough to wait, because girly style, sometimes it does take me a while. It's rare for me to not know exactly what I feel, but when I don't know what I feel and I care about this person that I'm communicating with, I'm asking them as a favor to me, can you please let me ramble it out, because I want to figure this out, okay? And also, as I'm saying, if they are lying to you or they're lying to themselves on your own behavior, when you are having an argument, if you get to the point that you are accusing them, or you are swearing, not accusing, insulting. If you are insulting them or you're swearing, now you guys know I'm like the pro of swearing. Okay, I know a lot of cuss words. Okay, but in an argument, if you are swearing at them or insulting them, I want you to really, really, really be aware of this. You've lost the argument. You've lost. So stop arguing. Okay? And this is, and I'm saying this clearly to you because it's usually unconscious. Somewhere in the argument, your brain already registered that you are not winning. And so your brain has moved into that fight or flight mode, okay? Fight or flight. And so now I'm just flailing. I'm flailing in anger. So now I'm swearing at you and I'm throwing insults. And it's as simple as, you're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking bitch. You've lost the argument, okay? Let's say they're lying to you and you're saying, you're a fucking bitch. You've lost the argument because your brain already registered the fact that they're lying and you're getting nowhere. Does that make sense? I want you to start keeping track of that. When you're insulting them and swearing at them, the moment that it comes out of your mouth, I want you to stop and think, have I already lost this fight? I'm done. Just be done. Because at the moment that you started to insult and swear at them, the only place that you're going to go is escalating. You're just going to escalate. You're going to bring out everything else that I said is unfair fighting. And I can tell you that from experience. I can tell you that from experience. It's the threshold. You're insulting or you're swearing. And now, every time, I've noticed that if I don't shut it down, it just gets worse. Okay? Especially with a narcissist. With a narcissist, you've already lost. You've lost. So, same thing for them. You know, if they're insulting you, you know, it's over. It's over. As soon as they start insulting you and cussing you out, it's only going to get worse. So do everything that you can to go gray rock on it. Okay? It's over. And they're only going to escalate. Okay, I know I repeated it a million times, but it's really important. It's really important. Fighting is important, and fighting fair is important. We all get upset in healthy relationships as well, okay? And we need to fight fair. And they did not have that in my high school, how to fight fair. Did they have that at your high school? Fighting fair is not something that you are born knowing. You have to work at it. You have to become aware of it. You have to have self-control, and you need to have compassion and understanding of where the other person is at. Let's say that this is a extremely healthy person that you truly care about, and they are insulting you. Honey, the time to figure out what it is that you did wrong is not right then. It's not right then. They're at their extreme. It's time to say, you know what? I'm so sorry that you're upset. You didn't say I'm sorry for what you don't believe is true, but you can say, I'm sorry you're so upset. I care about you. Let's take a break. I care about you. Let's take a break. You can say, I'm sorry that you feel that way. That is not a lie. That is not a lie. You can feel sorry. Oh, I still don't understand why they're so upset that they're insulting and swearing at me. But the fact of the matter is once you've reached the level of swearing, it needs to just get shut down and be talked about when you're calm. All right, anything else? After an argument, that's it. That's it. That's what I was saying is, after an argument, check it out yourself. Experiment with everything that I said here. After an argument, when you go back and you look at, at the trigger points that I'm talking about, was it true? Was it true? Once you start swearing and insulting each other, it should have gotten shut down. It just got worse from there. Or I know that person was lying, or I could see on their face that they were lying to themselves, and I ended up arguing with them half an hour after I saw that on their face. And what happened? Nothing. I had no effect on them, and I walked away pissed off, frustrated, and I probably, I had started insulting them and I had started swearing, okay? There's nothing to fight about there, okay? But if you are in a fight with somebody you care about and it is something that needs to be worked out, make sure that you do it with kindness and respect. And being kind in an argument means that you are not defensive, you are not deflecting, you are not accusing, you're not bringing up old shit, you are not insulting or swearing. That's my big shut off. Even though I swear all the time, if I'm arguing with anybody and I swear, it's done. It's done. I'm too upset. right? Because I did learn that the hard way. Promise. Alrighty, did I get it all? I really hope I did, because that was an important one to me. And I can say, even though I can't quote any of them, I did learn that in a college class and in several relationship books. Okay, but I don't have any footnotes where I can like reference those, other than that blue-red game. Check it out. It's like super interesting. Okay, that's all that I have for today. And like I said, this is going into the getting off the codependent carousel. And so I think it's movie time for me, y'all. So I am wishing you all much love.